Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Utsuki. Even though I made a post in the post section of YouTube about it, I wanted to make a video sharing my background story, my background in writing, because I know that some people do not want to read, and I am able to reach more people and spread this idea. Alright, so first of all, my brother exhorted me to read more complex or complicated books when I was very young, something around 7 years old. In my 8, I wrote my first poem for a girl that was 8 years older than me. She obviously said no, but from that time on, basically I wrote at least one poem for each girl that I was interested in. At the age of 21, I typed down some old pages of poem and compiled them and in quotes published to Amazon and call it a book. So I have a book of poems that I wrote between 8 years old and 21 years old, and during the pandemic as well. I wrote 2 fantasy books. The first one, I have a lot of care and love, both every single thing that I wrote so far. I have, except my last poem from 21s. I have a lot of care and love for every single thing that I wrote. So the first one, the first fantasy book, I think it was around 160 pages. The second one was more like, I think, 250, something like this, or even less. But I wrote, and as well I also published in quote to Amazon. That is available, or at least was available, for Amazon Kindle. So this is my background writing story. I used to be a poet. I also wrote down 2 story fantasy genres books. Alright. My influence, the first one that basically was the first book that I was handed off, is Machado de Assis. Machado de Assis is the famous and the most important writer here in Brazil. He is well known for write hard books, but not exactly hard, because he was from 1800s. So there is a lot of terms that obviously it's not that familiar for us, but he also wrote in a different way. Let me put it this way, that it's not just too conventional for even the native Portuguese speakers. All right, and I basically read a lot of books from him, even same books but different editions. So he is clearly the biggest influence I have. He is most famous by his realistic approach to writing, like very detailed scenarios, very detailed characters, emotions, inner thoughts, like heavily detailed. He also had some romantic works, but he is more famous for his realism scholar, right? Like movement. I also have, not as influence, but the first thing that I had contact with that was fantasy certainly was Harry Potter. I read 2 books from it, and like from that on I was really interested in fantasy books. So I read some titles that I cannot translate into English, but I got more interested in fantasy because of it. Fantasy genre and magic setting, let me put it this way. So I am really like obsessed with this type of book, so I won't say that it is a direct influence because it was more like a gate opening to a broader genre. So far I have a realistic approach for fantasy genres. uh, Lastly, uh, one of my favorite medias that I can like profusely consumed is was One Piece. I was really in love for One Piece. Thanks for my uncle that introduced me to it. So I loved One Piece, but like something around the pandemic, I got a 1.5 something like this break from cell phone and computers, so I stopped to watch anime. After this, I got back to One Piece, but I was like already slowing down, and like for 2 years, almost three, I basically didn't watch anime and neither One Piece as well. And last year I tried to catch up. This year, like in the end of the last and the beginning of this, I tried to catch up. But I will be very honest, I was already not liking anime anymore. But that year fifth is like not. I was already unsatisfied with the Toei animation as well and the direction of the anime. Like it got more and more explicit how they recycled some frames over and over and just like flip it the in the horizontal axis. It's just the same thing but mirrored. So it was really like bad. Some parts, some stories was already get modified to the anime, right? And the Gear Fifth was like something that I was really not interested, mostly because of this Toon Fort type of unbeatable or endless source of power. Like used to like One Piece mainly, and it is one of my biggest things that I got from it. It's sometimes the protagonist lose. Sometimes they lost. I think they lost when they tried to run from Smoker the first time, but obviously the dragon came up and kind of saved them. But clearly, Luffy was losing it, so it was interesting. They also lost in the and that is Shabondi, I think that is the correct name, right? They also has that micro loses that sometimes most part of the enemies have as well. So they taught me that I can use some bad scenarios for the protagonist and not make them always winning. This is interesting. And with this Gear Fifth, I just cannot see this anymore. Just like this. Only if it's holding back purposefully. But so far, so I was already not that much in love with anime anymore, and this happened, so I don't watch it anymore. But I still have a lot of care and love for the media, and also the background story of characters. Like I used to handle some characters as merely like NPCs, but One Piece is really rich by giving characters, even they in quotes not that much important, some heavily lore, like a really interesting story behind them. All the reasons why they are even in that place. So I really love this approach, and certainly is the biggest influence I had from One Piece. That is the background stories for every single character, not the protagonist ones. Alright? So I could give some tips. So this is my influence: realism, fantasy, magic, and One Piece, basically. Alright? I could give some tips for writing. To be honest, I don't know how useful it is, because I never study or approach it writing in order to give people tips. I just the first thing I like to do is to use the most basic software to write down, to not get too confused or even too lost. Even like preserve the capacity to open it whenever I want. I used to write most, like, the at least 2/3, at least, of my book in TXT file, because I was fearful to write in, for example, Word software, and the license just got expired and I wasn't able to open it anymore. I had these issues back then, so this fear was reasonable for me. So I started to write. But I got used to it, so I do not write everything anymore in TXT files, but this not synopsis, but the whole plot, the whole setting, the things that should happen, the order, the main idea, the main goal, the protagonist. I write every single thing in TXT files as well. I always kept this habit. So for tips, I really don't think it is suitable. I like some tips are just too basic. I don't think it's just too basic. I don't have anything complex. There is the motif idea as well in here, in music as well, but here, because to make like something remarkable associated with something, so you try to recurrently bring this back to reinforce that this character or this place or this scenario is related to that thing. It's a good way to do it, and so on. So guys, that is it. I hope this file do not get corrupt, and I hope it was interesting enough. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.